Alright, build update on my Dread's Captain Cutlass build, the Ghostly Artillery build, whatever you want to call it. In the first video I was a deadeye because I wanted to spam as many projectiles as possible, but I noticed when playing the game that the single target was kinda undesirable. It wasn't that good. So I just had a quick think and thought, what if I just changed the Ascendancy to Warden? Because the only thing I really get on Deadeye is 2 additional projectiles and far shot. So I swapped to Warden. Warden can give us 50 stacks of shock with 2% on each. So that's a 100% decreased damage taken. But with a sword, we are strictly dealing cold damage per 10 dexterity, so cold damage can't normally shock, but the new flask Stormblood solves that. All damage for critical strikes applied lightning elements during effect. And considering we're hitting very frequently, like between 12 to, well, 9 to 12 times per attack, this thing stacks up in a split second. Considering we're also attacking like 6 times a second. Since the Dread Captain's Cutlass, the Ghost Artillery has a 50% of Fisk converted to fire, we can also inflict Ignite whenever we hit with this weapon, so it's another ailment. And we can chill and freeze, considering cold damage, the flat cold damage, which allows us to stack the Avatar of the Wilds really quickly. So we get 1 point whenever we inflict an ailment with a hit on an enemy, no more than once every 0.2 seconds for each type of ailment. So every second we inflict between every hit, every attack, we basically inflict up to 4 or 5 ailments. And we can do that 5 times a second. So you get this up in a second, well, not in a second, but like within 3 seconds if you are standing properly right next to the boss. Allowing us to basically get 100% more damage, and every source of more damage is equivalent to a multiplicative addition. So this is basically double damage is what this is saying. And my hits always inflict freeze, shock and ignite while I'm bound. I cannot get unbound stacks when it's active, but it's mostly a panic button whenever you fight a boss or a really tough rare. On the defensive side, we get Barkskin. Barkskin is a free aura, which grants us more chance to evade and less physical damage taken from attacks per bark, up to 10 stacks. We get 1 stack every second if we haven't been hit by an attack recently, which means 4 seconds. And since we are dex stacking, and we also have a shield with some block, we currently have 60,000 evasion, which is equivalent to 87% chance to avoid attacks, and some block chance of, well, only 29%, but still, it's something, so we aren't getting hit that much. And since we are freezing everything nearby, we are also chilling everything nearby, they are slow to an absolute halt, so nothing in maps will really actually hit you. It's just bosses that cannot be fully slowed, that will be a big issue. The Lessons of the Season also applies this Barkskin to spells to some degree, making us, well, I wouldn't say tanky, but it's tankier than probably a Deadeye in my opinion. Considering you lose all the Gale stacks whenever you get hit, but that's a 40% less damage from a singular hit, and then you need to get it back, but since we're attacking 6 times a second, it also works just fine on the Deadeye. Since we swapped to Warden, and we want more damage, we can simply use Steel Far Shot. So basically the only thing we lost from changing Ascendancy was literally +2 projectiles, because the damage reduction from these 2 is just fine. We also lost 20% projectile speed, which we can recover from down here, and a 10% here, and a 30% here. you kind of need projectile speed, because if you don't have it, I mean, just look at these. What if I remove these two? You're gonna see that they are gonna fly much slower. So projectile speed is pretty much a must for just quality of life, in my opinion. You don't need it, but I highly recommend it. We're still using a Fury Valve, and it's just because fires 2 additional projectiles and projectile split. Projectile split means that, well, it shoots out to more enemies for even more clear. Funnily enough, this 2 additional projectiles also adds 2 cannons. We can also get 2 cannons, well, 1 cannon from the sword if you're lucky and get attacks fire additional projectile. But that's a fairly rare mod from what I've noticed. It's not mandatory, but it kind of helps. We also upgraded our helmet to a 80% reservation, which allowed us to get a Herald of Eyes for even more clear and a little bit more of flat damage to our attacks. Purity of elements, because we are so resistance starved, it's unreal. We are just above the cap of 75 on all of these. So it's a mandatory, but at least it makes us immune to elemental ailments, so that's a good thing as well. Grace, just because more evasion. We are an evasion based build from dex stacking, so we get dex grants us damage, it grants us less damage taken from a body armor, it grants us evasion, it grants us accuracy. It's all that we really want from a build in general. But this body armor I crafted today, so I bought this fractured base and Ascend spammed it until I hit a empty suffix and solid prefixes, and called it a day. Gloves are still the same. I'm looking to upgrade this glove up next with the mod from Incursion, which grants us cold resist and damage against chilled enemies. And that's going to be an expensive craft, but that's probably what I'm going to focus on next, just for a little bit more damage. Belt, dexterity, strength, resistances, elemental damage with attacks, and life. All that matters. Boots, we bought a corrupted version of the Garukans for maximum endurance charges, because we removed the percentage dexterity jewel here and added a enduring composure to get endurance charges, just for slightly more damage reduction. I decided to get the frenzy charge when hit a unique enemy, and this wheel here, just because 0.3 meters to melee strike range is actually quite a bit. Before that we had none, so we literally had to stand right inside the enemy to actually hit them with the double strike of momentum. So yeah, frenzy charges is just against bosses, because Blood Rage won't give you any frenzy charges. So in the PoB, I'm gonna bring it up. Just a second. We have an attack time of 5.89 with maximum frenzy charges. That means that we are almost at the attack speed cap, because each cannon can fire every 0.15 seconds. Which means a maximum attack speed you kinda want is 6.06 to be at the very cap, because then the cooldown of 0.15 seconds will match the attack speed. Being just below 6 or just precisely on 6 is more preferable, but it's not mandatory. Having anything from 5.5 to 6 is perfectly fine. This PoB cannot really calculate the damage either, because it's only counting one projectile and it's shooting 6 times a second. It's not counting the returning projectiles, interestingly enough, but the returning projectiles have a 60 something, 65% less damage. So we can practically just say that if all projectiles hit, we maybe have double the damage with the less damage from the returning projectiles. Then we also have the double strike of momentum. Since we swapped out from deadeye, we can now use a level 2120 faster attacks. I guess we could go into 2123 and you'll be even closer to 6, but I think a 2123 is kind of expensive. So a 2120 is more than enough. If you put it in a green socket, you get another 5% attack speed. We also swapped out unbound element and the what's it called? Gems. Chill. Causing current. Causing current gave me shock equal to the chill effect, but considering now that we have this flask and only 2% shock, but it can stack 50 times, we don't really need causing current anymore. So we only rely on this flask. It says we're attacking so fast, and every single projectile can hit, and we are basically crit capped on the projectile attacks. We'll get back all of the charges on single target as long as you are standing still right next to the target, so the returning projectiles can shotgun. We also added a prismatic tincture. It's just more, well, increased elemental damage with melee weapons and elemental pen. It's extra damage. I think that's the update. I'm really loving this build. It's really comfy to play down in Delve because you're just freezing the entire screen non-stop. You leap slamming out in the darkness to push the cart faster. I love this thing in maps because you're just jumping around and everything dies. Single target is just fine if you jump straight on them and you freeze the map boss instantly and just pretty much kill it in a split second because all of the projectiles all over the screen. This has been a really fun project, and I might do some minor tweaks to this before I'm giving up on this build and go for the next project. So I guess I'll see you on the next one.